Yes.
Let's hear this.
Yes. I invite you to just relax. Show my
Where did you learn to do that?
I was singing in a church when I was a child, and I was singing in the church hymn Benedictus, soprano, and I was singing in front when I was 11 years old or 12, in front of a few hundred people, and I was just feeling good, like something in me saying, yes, that's why this feeling. So no anxiety or something, it's just more happy for doing it. And then I went to Vancouver, I met some shaman, and I learned some native songs, and then I went to England, Glastonbury, and there are also some really lovely songs there. And about the goddess, about Gaia, about the connection and nature. And I felt very sweet how they are together. Really love this. And then I went to Hawaii, and then I know the Hawaiian chanting, and very strong. And so this is a combination that comes from me and the way of my love and the connection and service. So I'm allowing the energy of the moment, and for me when I sing it's like a praying, it's like I connect with my heart, and with that moment it's like I connect and that the space will build up, and I ask for the best support we have, that we are, so it's like a praying, and it's about that the best for the future, for humanity and the world will show up, and we're a channel. We can maybe give little impulses through us, or creative play like this. That's what I do.
Well, I also sing, and it started when I was young also, from the time I was very young. And I was encouraged at that time to try to be a serious singer. And that really was a setback, I think, in many ways, because for me, singing was something different. And it's not about performance, it's about praying. And so I also felt that was a connection that could only happen if it was without anxiety and without the worry of a perfect performance and any of it that goes with it. I just love to sing. And so I found my place for singing was in churches and in choral groups where it's the music, it's all about the music. So I understand the feeling about this the vibration really that manifests through you when you use your voice that way.
And I do it when I do openings in the gallery, or even when I do therapy groups when there's some issues, big stuff coming up. When I sing, then and I do a little bit of trance, the people are much more in their solution and more in their dreams and what makes them happy instead of what is limiting.
And I also think that music is really the antidote to the problems, the antidote to your own problems, the antidote to only having a sense of being alone and not being connected with others. And my father was very much a musical person, but he died when I was quite young. And for several years, there was no music in the house. And when I was 11 years old, our school, for the first time ever, started a chorus. And it was like I came out of this really dark time in my life and woke up there in the chorus with the man I still remember as the choral director, Mr. Filiatro. I still remember what he looks like. And he was just the person who I needed to have come into my life at that point. And it just opened up music all over again. And it was really a gift. And it's been that way ever since. So since I was that young.
And you sing your own creation?
No, I don't think so. I love the Gregorian chant, which I just told you I was part of in the last week here in Berlin with a small group of people forming their own church. And that really took me back in time to when I was quite young, because when I went to church as a kid, we sang Gregorian chant, and it was beautiful. Lovely. So it's all part of me. And so I don't have my own creations, but I just, I'm always drawn to anything that has music as part of it.
Yeah, and before we were talking about bending time. How you think that is like a bow or bending?
I don't know if I have a visual of bending time, because time is just, it's ethereal. We can't get a hold of it. And we all exist in this construct of time, but there's no, in my view, there's no separation between ancient stories and things that are happening today and future things that will come. It's really all one. And I think the way that manifests is when we run into people like Julian of Norwich from the 14th century, who just proves that time is not linear, because she is still very much in people's consciousness, even though it's the 21st century, 700 years go by, we still know her in some way, and we want to know her, and we want to know what she was about, and why we still remember her. We want to know, what did she have to say back then that influences us even today? And it's timeless. So the bending time is not something that we can have any control over. I just think that it's a way of saying time's not linear, and time is it's one of those things that's indescribable, but we all have some relationship to it.
It's like the Mayans say, there's no future, past, and present moment. We think we have like a timeline, and that's why. But they say it's all space. You can go in the back. You can go in the, and that's also interesting when you do hypnosis. Because me being also a therapist, it's like you can go in the past and create a totally different moment, that your future will be totally different. Or you can journey with hypnosis or with trance into the future and change the future and at the present moment. I mean, because you can't change the future, you can just change this moment, but it will be different. So, and we were talking about sometimes when we met here, this, like somehow we talk about stars and about more philosophic, creating a star that will like fall to earth and make something new. And you were talking about this wonderful woman 700 years ago. Do you can share like a sentence? What is her brilliance or her vision that is still people are seeking today?
Well, the most famous quote that she actually didn't speak herself, it was spoken to her by God, is that all shall be well. And that is the thing that most people associate with Julian of Norwich. All shall be well, all manner of things shall be well, all things shall be most well. And this is the thing that people want to understand about Julian, because she lived in a time when things were not well. She lived during the Black Death plagues, and she actually had a revival during the COVID pandemic in people's minds, because she was a woman who lived during the plagues in lockdown, because she was locked into a cell into the church, attached to the church. So she already existed in that space for people in their minds. And people who went into lockdown during COVID were relating to her and wondered how could that message, all shall be well, have come from her during that time under those circumstances. So there's no answer to that question, but I think it's the positive message that she gives out that says, whatever the circumstances are, all shall be well. And to just know that and trust it.
Yes, and then that is something when you feel like in Hawaii, that the principle, energy goes where attention goes. So it's like when you have the attention, all shall be well, and you feel it, then you are in a totally different trust, surrender, acceptance, love. So that's the state And what I feel often, that's why also I went to Hawaii, is about not just the word, somehow I can imagine that she as a visionary or mystical woman, even embodied that all shall be well. And that's why she still is present in so many hundreds of years. And our journey here with all the stories about how that this is a planet, a wonderful planet we can learn. That so many souls want to live in this moment because it's a great learning. And there will be a time when we pass away and we go to our soul family back, where, hey, that wasn't that bad. I just made it. I made it up. So it's about all shall be well. So it's really about it's where we come from. Mm-hmm. Maybe even when you are in this, not too many things, just more focusing on contemplation, that there is something, that the one, the oneness, the oneness with everything. And when you, interesting is, like when I sensed it a few times in this life, it's like when you feel one, that is the most. Then there's no fear, there's no opposite.
That's right. And Julian actually coined a word, oneing, O-N-E-I-N-G. And that's also a word that's been associated with her theology. So she went from being this so-called lowly, unlettered woman living in the 14th century to having visions, to living the life of a recluse, an anchoress, who actually did spiritual direction for the community. People would come to the anchorage to talk with her. But she moved up in people's minds as a theologian at some point. And that was partly because of the church wanting to have a place for her in their minds. What about this woman and what she's saying and what people are relating to? And her word oneing was just the way that you were describing it. There's no coexistence. There's one. And it's something that gave people comfort, but I think it also gave her stature within the church, especially at a time when women in the 14th century had no real place anywhere, let alone in the church. So she's very powerful that way.
Yeah. Maybe she's like an anchor of the time where all the wise women in the Middle Age got killed, and all this ancient wisdom, and still it's in the cells, even when you are living now in America, but the ancestor blood is coming from somewhere, and so, or Europe also, maybe, for sure. So somehow we have it all in our collective memory in ourselves that something happened, and especially wise women or wise got killed, or even men, but mostly a woman. And I think it's like, maybe she's also like, because she's powerful, because she's carrying the essence. When you heal the best, you never heal somebody else, but you allow it, the other person remembers the oneness, remembers, like in the Aborigine, like there's a lovely book about, in German it's called Traumfahrer. It's about a doctor, she's in Australia, and she learns, a Traumfänger it's called. It's, you know, the one where for dreams you have a dream catcher.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. and a dream catcher. And it's a book, it's 30 years old, or 40 years old, but it's interesting. She's one of the first books about spiritual traveling, and so she got with it's a real story, and she went to the Aborigine, and they chucked everything away from her. You have to be, or put it somewhere, but when you come with us, nothing what you have to be with you, so just with us. So she went there, and then she got broken, her leg was broken, and then they did this with blood from menstruation or somebody else, so did all this measure, and then suddenly, I don't know, in a few days, 2-3 days, the bone was okay. How can that be? How can that be? And so a story about this, and about healing much quicker. And I can imagine, and she didn't first thought it can't be. How can that be? You know? But it happened. And of course it's about energy. And when I learned with some different kahunas in Hawaii, and one woman, she said, healing. You think, because I was invited to heal between heiaus, like a bed and breakfast place where people stay, and I was invited to be there. I stayed in the cabin, in a nice little house there, and heal this place. I did internal design and raise up the energy. And then she said, hey, you can do it in seconds. You don't need this concept of time. What I did it in seconds. Of the spirits, the energy, all uplifting in a few seconds. So I visualize it, open the portal, put up the light, invite it with love, all the people who want to go. And then the next day I have to go back because of my visa. And then there was a flood, just when I have to fly back to Germany. And there was a big flood, flooding everything. Also my things in the garage. But it was cleaning, you know. It was not that flood, it was just wet, but then it was gone. So it's purification. And interesting was, because this place was blocked for years, nobody wanted to get there. And when I was there, I wanted to paint. Couldn't paint. There was an energy was blocking. But after this, nature speak. It was all alive. It was so beautiful. The energy was so beautiful, and back to the oneness. It's why I put it the big story. It's like it's about a concept. It's about, it can be quicker as we think. When we think it needs 6 weeks to heal, then it will be 6 weeks. So that back to your wonderful woman, when she's coming from a state of oneness, then she can connect people, because we all know that we are one. Something in us that is there. And when she's embodying this, then people, as we know from other people, when they're enlightened or something, or people come there and then suddenly they're healed, like Jesus and others, like, oh my God, I can walk again, I can see again, like the holy Sankt Odile people, there's a lovely spring, and she was blind, that's why she was but then there's like a spring, and with the spring she could see, but it could be symbolic in a way of seeing. Blind could be also symbolic. And very powerful. And I think the message you said, it sounds simple, but it's very complex. No?
Yes.
To be one. It sounds so easy in this quick time.
Right.
Concept. Chicken.
But
in real,
to live that way is different.
What do you think for, how can you live this? How you live this oneness?
Well, not on a daily basis, though I wish I really could get to that place, and I probably will at some point. But I think there's a sense of understanding the connections that we're talking about, that are the unseen, that's always at work, that's always happening, and that manifest in ways that we then see. And so that, the word for that in everything that I write now is serendipity. And so serendipity is happens all the time, but whether or not we notice it is really what makes the difference between understanding the concept of connection and oneness with everything, because it is happening all the time. Just like how I happen to be sitting here right now with you was serendipitous. So we walked into this gallery because we wanted to come and see your artwork, and we had a wonderful conversation, and we talked about the stars, and we talked about serendipity, and we talked about the work, but we talked about what might be happening that we could do together. And so here we are today, and for me, that's a great example of how serendipity just moves us through life and moves through our lives. And it's easy to be oblivious to that because we're focused on so many other things.